You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Happy to have you with me today. Thank you for coming back to our part 2 of our weekend house calls. We answered so many amazing questions yesterday. Thank you to all who wrote in and tuned into that show. And today, on episode 863, we'll actually be going through a bunch more of our community's questions. Always amazing, and I'm always very excited and grateful to be able to at least give people a place to start, right? Just kind of pointing them in the right direction, whether it's through the lab testing, maybe some information that they haven't thought about before, or maybe not from a different, or that from that angle, so they can then take action on. That's what it's all about. It's kind of either taking the lab test, it's trying to use a nutritional supplement that you might believe for you, a different style of eating, getting into exercise, getting a little bit better sleep, or maybe it's more lifestyle based and you're looking to just become more at peace, more relaxed in life, de-stressing. And a lot of those things, of course, I teach in the Rain Barrel Effect, but I also love to be able to answer people's questions, answer our community's questions each and every weekend. So excited to have you with me today, as always. Again, all show notes today will be found at stephencabral.com/863. So now let's get into the first question. The first question is from Michelle. She's writing, "Hello, Dr. Cabral. I've listened to almost every one of your podcasts and find them excellent. I'm a bit of a complex case and seeking your advice. I'm based in Australia. I've suffered from bulimia for the past decade and also use laxatives. I currently do not binge purge, only binge eat at night and have an overwhelming urge every night around 2 a.m. to binge mindlessly. I'm gaining a lot of weight, trying to eat healthy during the day, but I also suffer from gastritis, bloating, and constipation. I'm seeking a psychologist to help with the eating disorder. I'm 5'1", 103. My lowest weight was 90 pounds. She goes through a little bit more of her health history. And again, everyone can tune in to read the full questions at stephencabral.com/862 for today's questions. I want to get through all of them though. Right now, she eats about 3,000 calories a day. 2,000 of these are at night in 1 hour. Please help. My eating disorder can cause by different emotional triggers. Currently, I feel good at 103 and don't want to put on any more weight. Please help. What can I do to normalize eating and not do this at 2 a.m. to maintain my weight? Okay, so what I would like you to do, Michelle, is to continue on with a specialist like you're doing right now in counseling. I think that's very important. I think that we want to work on both the psychology and the physiology. So I can help you, well, hopefully I can help you with both, meaning that I gave you 3 great books to kind of check out yesterday on the magic of believing, on the heart math solution, and then I also gave you another great one from Emmett Fox, The Sermon on the Mount. Go check out those books on yesterday's show. What I need you to do is to first believe in you, to believe that you can overcome this, and to also deal with whatever might be going on at a much deeper level, meaning like we have to start to peel back the levels and the layers of the onion, right? We want to find out why is it that, what's leading you, what thoughts are leading you to engage in this type of binging and purging. So what I would like to do is I would like to help you with that from both a psychological and physiological based perspective. So you're getting the help and you're going to be reading the books and you're going to be understanding that whatever part of you that may not think that you are enough, that's not true, that you are everything that you need to be right now, that there's no place that you need to get to. And that, like a lot of other people, and again, this might not be applying to you. So I'm talking about this for as much as myself and everyone listening that it is for you, because you and I are not having the conversation right now. But a lot of other people are looking outside of themselves for some type of justification or some type of recognition or whatever it might be. And what I want you to do is always look within, that you're strong enough and that you're enough right now. I always say that to people, that you're enough right now. You don't need to be any more. You don't need to lose any more weight. You don't need to be 140 pounds, 100 pounds, 90 pounds, any of those pounds. That the body is your body and simply put, your body is here for you to allow you to accomplish great things. So that's why I always tell people, what we need to do is we need to get you healthy first. You want to go on and you want to do this, and this with your life, right? Well, let's get you healthy in both mind and body. And again, this is a journey for life, right? So that you can do amazing things with your life. The tagline of the Cabral concept, not even a lot of people know it, but it says it right there just in small print. Change your body, change your life. And for you, what I want you to look at this from is that whatever's going on, you're going to work with your psychologist or your therapist, and you're going to realize that what you saw as roadblocks are things that are going to make you stronger in life. They're going to develop your character, and you're going to be able to one day teach others. That's what it's all about. That's why I'm doing this health certification this fall, is so that people can use their own struggles, because we all have them, right? But you can use your own struggle. You could turn it into something positive. You can share that message with others and then hopefully transform even just one other life, right? Imagine if, let's just say, 1 million people are doing that, right? Just because we do this certification, there's 1 million people and they change one other person's life. Well, that's another 1 million people. But what if those people then go to change one more life? That is the only way that things get done. Now, from a physiological perspective, what we need you to do is just say, okay, you're eating 3,000 calories a day. Your body probably doesn't need all 3,000 calories. How can we get you to eat a little bit more food throughout the day and start to create new anchors of a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner, right? That's what we're looking at, we need to calm the body. We need to put good nutrition in it. And they were focused mainly on good, high-quality produce. So that produce is essentially water-based fruits and vegetables. Now, for you, again, high-quality, low-glycemic berries. That can be a lot of your morning. Your great vegetables, like your broccoli and your cauliflower, all of those things are fantastic. And then just to make sure we don't have any bloating, I would most likely run an organic acids test and, if you like, a stool test to figure out why you may have some of the bloating and constipation. That will help you with that. So hopefully, Michelle, that's going to get you started. I know you can overcome this. I've worked with a lot of people in my practice with the same thing. And again, I know that it's not something that you fix overnight, nor should you, because you're in a journey right now to improving both your mind and body, and I know you can do that. All right, let's see. Mr. Rivera is up next. Mr. Rivera is writing in, it would be great if he could do a podcast giving his opinions on the potato diet. Okay, so I'm not going to do a whole podcast on the potato diet because I don't want to give it that much credence. I don't believe in anything that is one essentially food. That's it. So I don't believe in the grapefruit diet. I don't believe in the rice diet. I don't believe in the potato diet. I don't believe in any one single diet. And the reason is, well, let me give you a little background. For people who've never heard of the potato diet, I'm not going to name the person's name who came up with it because I'm not going to talk positively about it. Okay. So what he did was he ate nothing but potatoes for 20 potatoes a day for 60 straight days. Okay. The goal was to look at his blood sugar levels and look at weight loss and look at all those specific things. And you can say, oh, wow, well, he lost some weight and his cholesterol numbers looked okay. Okay, well, it's a 2 month you're looking at it. So it's a very small study in the first place. It's 2 months. But the other part is this, is that if you were to go on to just eat 20 potatoes a day, and I have no issue with potatoes. So I just want to put it that way. I'm a big advocate of sweet potatoes. I'm a big advocate of yams. I'm a big advocate of purple potatoes, all of those specific things. But here's the deal. You are missing out on so many nutrients if you only eat one food, right? I mean, there's a lot of foods that I think are fantastic, but if you only eat one food, you miss out on all the other nutrients in the other ones. For example, if you're not eating your greens, you're missing out on all the different antioxidants that come from green-based vegetables, right? And if you're not eating, I guess you could eat purple potatoes, but if you're not eating like blueberries and things like that, you're going to miss on all of those anthocyanins and antioxidants that come from those things. So again, I'm not going to put a lot of talk into this. I don't believe in the potato diet. Nobody needs to do it. It's not a real thing. It's just not. And the reason I say that is that I don't want anyone out there trying it. It's not a fix. I mean, if you're looking to fix your cholesterol or weight loss, etc., look at the underlying root causes, and it's not a deficiency in potatoes. That's it. Okay. Debbie's up next. Debbie's writing in, hello, Dr. Cabral. Being a longtime listener, I trust your opinion very much. I would like to get your advice and to find out the best test for the underlying cause of PCOS and the best ways to treat it. My doctor just wants to put me on the pill without any further tests, but I know that's not going to do anything about the condition and just treat the symptoms. Thank you in advance for your amazing advice. All right, Debbie, you wrote this in on March 17th. You know my process. now. We're doing better at this. If you listen into previous house calls, I'm going to keep going through it because I don't want to be annoying to people, but we're going to try to do our best to catch up. Okay, so here's the deal. I've done many shows on PCOS, so I'm not going to go through all of that today because I've done many, many shows on PCOS. So what we do is this is how we help literally hundreds, if not thousands of women with PCOS. We run the thyroid adrenal hormone test. That's it. Thyroid adrenal hormone test. You could run a lot of other tests and they would be great. But if you run the thyroid adrenal hormone test, we'll be able to help you with that. Okay. Why? Because we're looking at your level of estrogen to progesterone. And if you still have a cycle, you're going to run it about 5 to 7 days before you get your period, basically before day 1 of menstruation. And if you don't, well, then you can run it anytime. We're going to look at high cortisol levels. We're going to look at high testosterone. We're going to look at your thyroid numbers, your TSH, T4, T3. We're going to look at TPO antibodies. We're going to look at your vitamin D. And we're going to look at your blood sugar levels. There is no better test than that one test for PCOS. So what I would like you to do, we will look at the underlying root causes, which are inflammation, hormonal imbalances, et cetera, and we'll run that. So if you want to run that and a organic acids test to look at your vitamins and gut function, that would be great too. You can also run a hair tissue mineral analysis. But the number one is the thyroid adrenal hormone test. Okay, we'll link that up in the show notes. I'm going to write it in my notes right now, thyroid adrenal hormone, and my team will put that right in today's show notes at stephencabral.com/862. Great question, Debbie. And also, if you go to stephencabral.com/podcast and type in PCOS, then you'll also find in-depth answers on that as well. All right, done. Dan is up next. Dan's asking, hi, Stephen. Huge fan of your podcast and your work. I'm a practitioner from Sydney, Australia. In a recent viral-related podcast, you mentioned low CD4 helper cells. Which one of my challenging patients have low helper suppressor ratio? Do you see this often? I'm finding nothing I am doing in shifting it. I know, however, the patient's zinc and copper levels are still low despite supplementation, and I'm wondering if this could be the cause of low CD4. Would love to get your opinion. Okay, great question. Well, a lot of times what we're actually looking for beyond... So CD4 is very far down the line. So when you have CD4, an increase or decrease in CD4 cells, an increase and decrease in CD8 cells, what we're looking at is more so Th1 versus Th2, so T helper cell immunity. And I know that you know about that because you wrote it in parentheses, so that's great. So you want to look at, I don't know what your challenging patient is dealing with, but if they're dealing with more of the autoimmune, like rheumatoid arthritis, we're typically are looking at more of the CD8-based cells. So that means that they're going to be more Th1 dominant, usually. Not always, but usually. And so then what you look at are all the different things to boost potentially Th2 response and lower Th1 response. And there are herbs and there are vitamins and there are et cetera, right? So you can go through those. But remember, that's still helping at more of a surface level. Now, there's nothing wrong with that because you want to help your patient over the next weeks and months and not necessarily the long-term autoimmune-based issues, which obviously can be rebalanced. They just take months. But anybody with rheumatoid arthritis or a lot of autoimmune issues can actually fix those symptoms, right? Symptoms is what we're talking about by doing like a 21-day Dr. Cabral detox or things like that to significantly lower them. A lot of people don't know that. The Dr. Cabral detox started with autoimmune-based wellness clients that I was serving, that I was helping in my practice. And the fringe benefit was a lot of them were dropping so much inflammation that they were losing 5 to 10 pounds in a week. Like it was just, that wasn't what we did it for. It was just a nice side benefit and got the body healthy and helped to regulate hormones and inflammation and blood sugar, et cetera, et cetera. Like it was great. So that's what I look at. And then of course I would look at, well, what's the real trigger? Have you used the organic acids test? And have you used the stool test in your practice for any autoimmune related people? Because if that's the case, then you want to run those to figure out if the person has bacterial overgrowth, parasites, candida overgrowth, that could then be exacerbating the immune system, causing the immune system to be out of balance, and as well as intestinal permeability. Because then what you need to do is fix the gut. Once you fix the gut and seal it back up, then there'll be less suppression or expression of the immune system. And that will help to better balance your person. And of course, you're looking at heavy metals, look at viruses as well, right? Rampant viruses with herpes virus, Epstein-Barr virus is another great thing to look at. So Dan, hopefully that gets you started. Again, we'll be talking more about that in our upcoming certifications. That will actually be a level 2 talk rather than a level 1, but everybody has to pass level 1 if they want to do level 2. Level 2 won't be for everyone. It'll be more for people who want to get deep into health coaching. Level 1 is for everyone, whether you want to be the head of your household and be like that person that helps everybody with health in your house, your community, your work, but it's also for health coaches. And then that's going to be the foundation. And then level 2 will be if you want to get into lab testing, we're going to allow people to run lab tests through my practice, which will be really fun. Okay, Christina's up next. Christina's asking, hi there. I live in Denmark and I was just wondering, I'm a health coach, just started up on my own, and I want to find the best people I'm going to help. Do you sell products for other people to sell to their clients? I noticed that you don't deliver in Denmark, but what if they're for wholesale? I really want good quality and only the ones I trust. This is a great question. I'm going to remove your last name. So, Christina, we will be offering product sales in Europe, I would say late 2018, if not definitely early 2019. So about 6 months from now, I would say. That's a safe bet. And yes, we will be offering it to our health coaches as well, so that they can offer it to their wellness clients or if doctors to their patients. So we don't hold back from shipping it to anybody. And if we shipped to Europe, we would of course ship to everybody, but we don't ship to Europe. So that means we don't ship to whether you're a practitioner or whether you're a wellness client or patient. That will happen soon. So definitely stay tuned. I will announce that for sure on a podcast, most likely a Friday review. So that will happen. All we want to do is provide great service. Like that's the thing. We want to provide great service when shipping to Europe. So when we first started to ship to Australia, it would take sometimes 2 weeks, right? Sometimes even a little longer. Now we're working with a better international shipper that just started on June 4th. So after June 4th, all the orders that are going out should be able to get there really within 5 to 10 days and no longer 14 plus days to Australia. So we're happy about that. And we want to do the same for Europe as well. We just want to provide a great service. That's the bottom line. All right, Catherine's up next. Catherine's asking, I love your podcast. I've been listening to all your episodes while at work, and everything you say makes sense to me. My naturopathic doctor even says everything you say is spot on. I have a short, hopefully simple question. There seems to be a health craze, I love this question, around drinking kombucha and overall gut health. I haven't found a lot of research supporting the health claims. What's your opinion on kombucha? Is it helpful or harmful to the gut? I love drinking it for the carbonation. I drink carbonated water. I can't drink carbonated water because it hurts my stomach, but kombucha seems to do just fine. Thank you for all you do. All right, I have so much to talk about on kombucha. I'm going to do a Friday review on it. I'm not the biggest advocate. I know that a lot of people are not going to be happy about me saying that. I'm just not on the kombucha bandwagon. I'm really not. I don't always believe in putting more yeast into people's systems. I just don't. I just don't believe in that everybody needs all these fermented-based beverages. And because I work with a lot of people with a sensitive gut. Now, if you drink kombucha and you feel phenomenal and your gut feels great, if anything, it's improved, then I have no problem with that at all. But what I don't like to see is keto for everybody, CrossFit for everybody, kombucha for everybody. It's fine. CrossFit's fine. Keto's fine. Kombucha's fine, but not for everybody. So we don't want to preach that it's this wonder beverage. I mean, there's a friend of mine, he's working for this company, and basically the founder's like, how are you not drinking kombucha? And he's like trying to convince them to drink kombucha. Well, here's the thing. Kombucha is not a cure-all. It's not a panacea, and it's not great for everyone. And I would say it's not great for probably half the people walking around. And the reason is that their gut microbiome is more susceptible to fermentation. They have more of a fermentable-based gut. I'll talk about that in the future. And maybe from birth, they didn't have the proper balance of microbiome. They had more candida overgrowth because their mom maybe passed on more candida to them. Okay, that's a good possibility. And I'm saying this maybe from experience. I'm just kind of passing it on to you. So there's also the other thing is do we need to be eating these fermented foods in general? And so for most people, the answer could be, well, we could get a lot of benefit. But for other people, then they cause more bloating and gas, et cetera, et cetera. And maybe it's because they just need to ease into it. Well, that's a possibility. But first, you need to make sure that you've run an organic acids test and a stool test to actually make sure you don't have yeast overgrowth or bacterial overgrowth. Because if you're drinking kombucha with those, well, I'm not a huge advocate because they're going to feed that. All right. The second thing is this. Here's the second. The reason why you're most likely able to tolerate kombucha versus just your carbonated water, like a sparkling mineral water like I've spoken about before, is because it's more acidic. Now, maybe you can find a more alkaline-based kombucha. I don't know that one exists because when you ferment something, it becomes acidic. It'd be very difficult for it not to become acidic because that is how you're fermenting it. People say no, it's alkaline. Well, yeah, the minerals are after they've been already assimilated from the body, but when you're putting it in your stomach, it's not. So It could actually be kombucha, maybe something good to drink more with a meal. Or when you're eating your fermented foods, why do they do them a lot of times with a meal? Why? Because they were good digestive aids as well. So what I have no problem with kombucha at all, but I can't say that it's a one for all. See how you do with it. And that's my opinion. I'm certainly not an advocate of kombucha for everybody. Okay, that's that. That's my honest opinion from both sides, right? Could be good for you, could be bad for you. First, you could just simply do an organic acids test and stool test. See if you have overgrowth. If you have overgrowth, don't do it. Once you remove the overgrowth, then try to add it in if you'd like. Okay. Audra's up next. I've been diagnosed with dactylitis by an MRI. This has led me to be diagnosed with seronegative arthritis. I have a positive ANA and Hashimoto's. I'd like to know your thoughts on the topic. I've read everything from psoriatic arthritis. I have a lot of aching in my legs and burning on the feet all over. When I put shoes on, it begins to burn. Neuropathy has already been ruled out via nerve test. All right. So Audra, this is a great question. When you have one of these mystery-based issues, but you already know that you have an autoimmune response in your body, you now need to figure out why you have the autoimmune-based response. This is actually really important for everybody, and especially for health practitioners. If you have a mystery-based issue that they can't figure out why you have it, but we know that we already have a history of autoimmune-based issues, we can almost assume that whatever this issue is as well, psoriatic arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, we know that we have Hashimoto's, we know it's some type of arthritis, we know it's something going on with the joints. We need to figure out why the autoimmune response in the first place. Okay, so now we go back to the question that was earlier from Australia. We look at first and foremost, 90% of all autoimmune-based issues have a gut-related issue. So we need to go there first. So we're going to run the organic acids test, the stool test, and the food sensitivity test. We're going to figure out exactly what's going on with the gut, okay? Then, if we know that we have yeast overgrowth, if we have bacterial overgrowth, maybe even have parasites, maybe have H. pylori, we wipe those out through the Candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol, maybe even the parasite protocol, and then we seal up the gut. We run a hair tissue mineral analysis to see if there's heavy metal toxicity in the body. If there's heavy metals, such as mercury, such as aluminum, that will create neuropathy, that will create inflammation in the body. We're then going to remove those heavy metals through our heavy metal detox-based protocol, all right? Proven to eliminate heavy metals within 42 days. Next up, we run an omega-6, omega-3 test, just called the omega-3 test. What that will do is it will actually look at your levels of inflammation in the body, okay? So if you have higher levels of a 3-to-1 from omega-6s to omega-3s, we will get you on the specific type of omega-3 that you need. We will actually give you our recommendation for whatever type of omega-3, because there's so many out there, of the one that's best for your body. So that's exactly what I would do. That's the only way that I can help you because, again, we don't know, right? So we have to stop guessing and we need to test, not from a conventional medicine standpoint of just looking at blood work and MRIs, but subclinical based labs that look at underlying imbalances that do not diagnose disease, but rather look at the imbalances that then lead to dis-ease in the body. So I recommend the Big 5 lab tests plus the stool test, or remove the thyroid adrenal hormone panel and add the stool test instead of that one. Those would be the 5 that I recommend. That's going to get you on your way. I mean, I believe that, again, we can't diagnose and treat disease. We have to put in that little caveat. But what I can tell you is this. When someone comes into my practice and they have this mystery-based issue, but I know that they have an autoimmune-based issue, I go straight towards all of the different imbalances that could cause the immune system to become too aggravated or inflamed and then cause issues that move around the body. One in the thyroid, right? But now we're in the joints. It could end up in the lungs. It could end up in the brain. It could end up in the nervous system with MS. We don't know. And when does that matter? Well, that's when genetics matters. But remember, your genetics can be pushed to the side and quieted once you rebalance the body. Audra, I hope that was helpful. That's exactly what I would do in my practice. So thank you for writing in. Thank you for tuning in. And we'll be back tomorrow answering more of our community's questions. Take care, everyone. Have an amazing weekend. And for today's show notes, just go to stevencabral.com/862. I apologize. Quick correction. I have been saying this is episode 862, all podcast, but this is actually episode 863. I recorded 862 a couple days ago. It's been a busy week, and 863 is the show notes. So simply go to stevencabral.com/863 for all of today's questions. Have a great weekend. I'll talk with you tomorrow on our Mindset and Motivation Monday. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.